My sister's voice was shaking. Your husband is in surgery. It's critical. I turned slowly because he was sitting right next to me. It was a normal evening. Quiet, calm, the kind of night you don't think twice about. My husband was on the couch, scrolling through his phone, half watching a movie we'd already seen 3 times. I was in the kitchen, making tea. Nothing felt unusual. Nothing felt wrong. Until my phone rang. My sister's name flashed on the screen. I smiled, answering casually. Hey, what's? You need to come to the hospital. Right now. Her voice wasn't normal. It was tight. Panicked. My stomach dropped instantly. What happened? It's your husband, she said. Everything inside me froze. He's in surgery. It's serious. The cup slipped from my hand, shattering against the floor. What are you talking about? I whispered. He was in an accident. They rushed him in an hour ago, she said quickly. No, I said immediately, because that made no sense. None. I turned slowly, and there he was, sitting on the couch, exactly where he'd been all evening, alive, unhurt, looking at me with mild confusion. What? He asked. My grip tightened on the phone. You're sure? I asked my sister. Yes, she snapped. I'm at the hospital. They asked for family. Where are you? My heart started pounding, loud, uncontrollable, because I was staring directly at my husband. And yet, someone who looked exactly like him was supposedly fighting for his life in surgery. I'll be there, I said slowly. I hung up. The room suddenly felt wrong, too quiet, too still. My husband stood up, frowning slightly. What's going on? He asked. I stared at him, really stared. Every detail, every feature, everything I knew so well. But now, something felt off. I need to go to the hospital, I said carefully. Why? I hesitated, then said the words that didn't make sense even as I spoke them. They say you're there. Silence. His expression didn't change immediately, but something flickered in his eyes. Just for a second. Then he smiled. A little too slowly. That's not possible, he said, and that's when the fear really began. The drive to the hospital felt unreal. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly they hurt. Every second stretched too long. Every thought tangled with the next. I kept replaying it. My sister's voice. Your husband is in surgery. And then his voice, calm, steady, sitting right there in my living room. It didn't make sense. It couldn't. I glanced in the rear-view mirror more than once, half expecting to see him there, or not see him at all. When I reached the hospital, my sister was already waiting near the entrance, pale, shaking. The moment she saw me, she rushed forward. Where have you been? She demanded. I came as fast as I could, I said, my voice tight. Where is he? In surgery, she said. They won't let me in. My chest tightened. Are you sure it's him? I asked carefully. She stared at me like I'd lost my mind. Of course I'm sure. I saw him. My heart pounded harder. Then who was at my house? I whispered. Her expression shifted instantly. Confusion, then fear. What? I left him sitting on the couch. I said, he was fine. That's not possible, she said quickly. I know, I replied. But it's true. Silence fell between us. Heavy, uncomfortable. Then a nurse called my name. We both turned immediately. Family of the patient, she asked. Yes, I said, stepping forward. Come with me. The hallway felt too bright, too clean, too quiet for what was happening. Machines beeped faintly in distant rooms. Doctors moved quickly past us. Everything felt controlled, precise. We stopped outside a room. Before you go in, the nurse said gently, you need to prepare yourself. My stomach dropped. Is he? He's alive, she said quickly. but he's in critical condition." I nodded, barely able to breathe. She opened the door, and I stepped inside. The world tilted, because there he was, my husband, lying on the bed, unconscious, bruised, bandaged, machines surrounding him, the steady beep of a monitor filling the silence. I couldn't move, couldn't think, because I had just left him at home, standing, talking, alive, and perfectly fine. But this was real. It had to be. I stepped closer, slowly, my heart racing. My fingers trembled as I reached out and touched his hand. Warm, real, not an illusion, not a mistake. Tears filled my eyes instantly. How is this possible? I whispered. My sister stood frozen behind me. "I told you," she said shakily. "That's him." But my mind refused to accept it, because if this was him, then who or what was sitting in my house? A doctor entered the room, flipping through a chart. "He's stable for now," he said. "He was brought in after a severe accident. We're still assessing internal injuries." "When was he admitted?" I asked quickly. "About an hour before your sister arrived." He replied. That was impossible. At that exact time, he had been at home with me. I felt the room spin slightly. "Did he come in alone?" I asked. The doctor hesitated, then shook his head. "No," he said. "He was brought in by someone." My breath caught. "Who?" He glanced at the chart again. "According to the report, it was a man who identified himself as your husband." Silence. Complete, terrifying silence. My sister let out a small, broken laugh. "That's not funny," she whispered. But no one was joking. My heart started racing again, because now there were only two possibilities. Either something impossible was happening, or something far worse. I slowly pulled out my phone, my hands shaking, and dialed home. It rang once, twice. Then someone picked up. "Hello." My blood ran cold. It was his voice. Calm, familiar, and very much still inside my house. My hand shook as I held the phone to my ear. "Hello." His voice. Calm, normal, like nothing was wrong. I looked at the man lying in the hospital bed, then back at my phone. "Who is this?" I whispered. A pause. Then, "That's not funny," he said softly. My heart pounded harder, because that was exactly what my husband would say. Same tone, same reaction. "I'm at the hospital," I said slowly. "With you." Silence. Long. Heavy. Then his voice changed. "Not much. Just enough." "That's not possible," he said. The same words. The same way he had said them earlier. At home. A cold realization crept in. "You came with him, didn't you?" I asked quietly. No answer. But I didn't need one. The truth was already there. "He brought you here and took his place," I whispered. A soft breath came through the phone, almost like a laugh. "You weren't supposed to notice," he said. My blood ran cold. "Who are you?" Another pause. Then, "I'm what was left behind." The line went dead. I slowly lowered the phone, my heart racing uncontrollably. My sister stared at me. "What did he say?" I couldn't answer right away, because suddenly the monitor beside the hospital bed started beeping faster. I turned quickly. My husband's fingers twitched. His eyes fluttered open, confused, weak, but alive. "Hey," he whispered. Tears filled my eyes instantly. "I'm here," I said, grabbing his hand. His grip tightened slightly. Real. Human. Not something pretending. Not something wearing his voice. And in that moment, I understood the truth. Whatever had been in my house, it wasn't him. It never was. And somewhere, it was still there.